Hello and welcome to my review of the 10th Doctor in Tuxedo, the latest figure to kickstart wave 2 I guess of the Collector's Series figure line. And yeah, quite an odd one to start off with. It seems a figure what is sort of 10 years too late, but before we actually talk about the figure and look at the articulation, the detail and all that sort of stuff what goes around the figures, let's look at the packaging and then... For the packaging we have the standard Collector's Series packaging. What we've grown to love over the past year since we're collecting figures have been coming out. So we've got the Doctor Who logo there, 5+, the figure displayed nicely there, and obviously we've got the lovely new Sonic Sculpt, which is exciting. 5.5, 14cm scale Collector Series, then what the figure is, and then on the side the same information on the front as well, and on the back we've got a photo of the figure, then a bio on the 10th Doctor with his date, and a bio on the story this figure is supposedly based from. Then the same information there, and some legal guff there, and again. So now onto the actual figure. Now, like I said earlier, this figure seems like it's 10 years too late, and I've got no problem with them releasing the 10th Doctor in Tuxedo, because it's been one of those weird figure wants for me. You know, as a kid I wanted the 10th Doctor in Tuxedo. I mean, I sort of made this setup in my head of the 10th Doctor in Tuxedo and the Lazarus experiment sort of capsule and the Lazarus creature in a set. I mean, that would have been glorious, but hey, costs and all that. Yeah, because you think with this collector's line, you think they'll be focusing with, you know, recent stuff in terms of like the Capaldi era, but it seems like they're focusing quite a lot on the 10th Doctor era, because we've got the re-release of his TARDIS console, or the 9th Doctor TARDIS console. But I know that the console re-release was supposedly for the US market, but that's sort of been cut short or cancelled. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but this figure and the two Capaldis, I believe, and the console have been cancelled in the US, I believe, for this current moment in time in terms of recording. They've been cancelled. But yeah, this figure is marketed as the 10th Doctor is seen in Voyage of the Damned. And yeah, that's strictly true. I mean, you could argue this is from Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, the Lazarus Experiment and Voyage of the Damned, because that's when Ten wore his lovely tuxedo, and I don't think there's any variation in the tuxedo between those episodes, so it's basically 10th Doctor from those stories really. So yeah, let's go on to the detail for this. So now on to detail. Now this 10th Doctor figure, I believe, has a new head sculpt, which is sort of an amalgamation of the End of Time head sculpt, which we haven't actually seen sort of clean or without glasses, so it's quite nice to see that. Now the hair is different, as you can see. The hair was more extended and was a separate piece this time. The hair is a lot more sort of shorter and is basically sculpted to the head, which is quite good. So it's sort of a halfway between the original sort of 10th Doctor figure we got and the End of Time 10th Doctor figure, so it's sort of a balance in between those two. But looking at the actual head sculpt itself, you can definitely tell who it is. It is definitely the 10th Doctor, or David Tennant, whatever you want to class him as. The hair, I think, is done fantastically with the dark brown as a base and then a light brown over the top to sort of highlight the hair, as you can see, with all the sort of individual strands. I think that's done rather well. You've got with 10th Doctor's iconic sideburns there. Moving down to the shirt piece, the bow tie is sculpted nicely with the detail there, and we've got the nice sort of dinner shirt detail with the frills, which has got quite a nice texture, sort of imitating the 3rd Doctor, but not as frilly. The jacket itself is done quite nice with the button there. You can see mine's not glued right, so it's sort of got a bit of a strange gap. Got the nice seams there, the pockets, and on the back you've got the nice seam there, and the creases to give that lifelike effect. On the sleeves we've got the buttons sculpted there, which is nice attention to detail, and we've got the nice creases on the trousers, which I do think are the standard 10th Doctor legs. We've got the nice black Converse with a red line, which I don't think is right. I think the black Converse had a black line going along them, and it doesn't seem like they've actually painted all the way round the Converse, because you can tell where the line is, so that might be a bit of quality control. It's not a thing you can be aware of when actually going into a shop for this figure. overall the detail is pretty good and is as what you would expect for a normal. Now on to articulation. Now this is the most articulated 10th Doctor figure we have had to date. The previous most articulated 10th Doctor figure was the ancient 10th Doctor figure, because the simple fact is he had wrist articulation, and that's what made him the most articulated, just because his hand moved. Because the previous 10th Doctor figures, which I'm sure we are all aware, were quite static, you know, rubbery hands, so you couldn't move them. And yeah, but in terms of articulation with this figure, it is pretty good for a 10th Doctor. It is just amazing. So we've got the head, what can probably do a 360, but is sort of hindering. I don't want to do that because of paint rub. He has ball jointed arms. Oh, isn't that amazing to see a 10th Doctor figure with ball jointed arms? So yeah, there we are. The arms can obviously do a 360 like that, and we do have biceps, so he can pose with his Sonic and you can have him like that, and that's just incredible for a 10th Doctor figure. Of course, you've got elbow, you do have wrist articulation, what can do 360, do have waist, what probably can do 360, but I'm not going to force it. And then the legs are where the sort of disappointment is, because I haven't got a thigh joint. It's literally, they can kick out, bend, and of course it is a T-crotch joint, so they can kick out like so. So 10th Doctor articulation is pretty good for the top half. The bottom half is probably your standard 10th Doctor figure legs, just to save costs. So articulation definitely gets a thumbs up for a 10th quick Doctor size figure, comparison to the previous 10th Doctor figures, because obviously the collector's line did mess up the 12th Doctor in terms of height, and yeah, this 10th Doctor is in scale with the other 10th Doctor figures. So yeah, now let's go on to the accessory, because the accessory is quite exciting for this figure. In terms of accessories, the 10th Doctor comes with just his sonic screwdriver, but this isn't just any normal 10th Doctor sonic screwdriver. It is closed, and it does have a nice bit of additional detail. If the camera will focus, you can tell it has the button, the slider button, what makes it extend. Obviously, because it's such a small scale, it doesn't actually extend. We've got the nice detail on the actual emitter there, with the different paneling. So if I just get the extended sonic screwdriver, I can do this. You can definitely tell the difference. Now it's weird that the actual sonic screwdriver themselves are actually the same size, which is kind of bizarre. The emitter is now a much more darker blue, what was seen in the 13 Doctor, so you can just see the detail has improved, and I love the sort of attention to detail with the inclusion of the button. Yeah, really nice attention to detail, and it's a nice little variant for the sonic screwdriver, so I like that a lot. And obviously it fits into the 10th Doctor's hand with ease. If you've got the 10th Doctor or 9th Doctor figure, you'll know that it fits. So what do I think of this figure? Well, I absolutely love it. For some bizarre reason, I've wanted this figure for quite a long time. It's been sort of on my weird figure want sort of list, and to finally have it is quite nice, because it sort of opens up the door where you can display them with your Cybermen figures or your Astrid Pef figure. And obviously, if you love doing sort of stop motion videos, then this opens up a whole new world for you as well, because you can recreate the Cybermen smashing through the window. You can sort of do scene recreation from Voyage of the Damned, so you can do the famous one when he's, you know, I'm the Doctor, I'm 903 years old, and I'm going to save your lives and all the 6 billion people below. Have we got a problem with that? So you can recreate that famous scene, which would be quite cool. And yeah, it's nice to see that we've actually got a 10th Doctor figure, what we actually wanted, and the price of this figure being £10.99. It's just sort of a hark back to the early days when figures used to be not expensive, but they were quite reasonable price. And for a 10 quid, you can't go wrong, because it's got a nice little detail, you know, the updated head sculpt and the new sonic screwdriver sculpt, which is quite cool. But then again, do you really want another 10th Doctor figure? Yeah, we've had quite a few 10th Doctor figures over the years, and yeah, this one definitely gets a thumbs up for me, because obviously the additional features of the new head sculpt, the new Sonic, and it being a weird figure I wanted just makes it quite nice. But yeah, I'm gonna say this, for the price it's very good. For 10 quid you can't really go wrong, and if enough people buy the Capaldi figures and the 10th Doctor and the TARDIS, hopefully we get some brand new figures, what we haven't seen before, like a new series Ice Warrior, a Zygon, new Cyberman. That'd be cool, because I would love to see more monsters instead of having Doctor variants, because the Peter Capaldi shelf is basically Peter Capaldi, Clara, Peter Capaldi. Oh look, Missy, 3 variants. But yeah, I'm gonna say this, if you're not a massive figure collector, then you might want to pass, and the question is, do you really want another 10th Doctor variant in your collection? If so, brilliant, because it is quite a nice figure, and to have the 10th Doctor updated with articulation, with a ball joint articulation, because yeah, all the other 10th Doctor figures are quite standard compared to this one now with the ball joint, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I would personally recommend this figure. But I will say this, if you are going to get this figure, try and get it in the shop, because obviously I had an issue with the jacket not being fastened properly and the shoes not being properly painted, because camera won't focus, because the line should go all the way around like the previous 10th Doctor figures, but this one doesn't. So overall, definitely check out this figure. Thank you very much for watching this review. My next figure review will either be a review of the new 12th Doctor figure, or the Time Crash set, or the 9th Doctor from Father's Day. So thank you very much for watching this figure review, and I hope to see you in my next video, whatever that will be. So thank you very much, and goodbye.